It was a stormy evening when Armaan discovered an old bookstore hidden in a forgotten alley. The street lamps flickered as thunder rolled across the sky. He had never walked this way before, yet his feet carried him toward the crooked wooden sign that read in faded paint, Ashraf's Books and Curiosities. The shop looked abandoned, yet a faint lantern burned inside. Drawn by curiosity, Armaan pushed the door open. A bell chimed softly, though the air felt heavy, as if the sound was swallowed by unseen walls. The room smelled of dust and mold. Old shelves leaned against cracked walls, carrying piles of books that seemed untouched for decades. At the farthest corner, his eyes caught something unusual, a wooden chest half buried beneath torn newspapers. He knelt, brushed the dust away, and opened it. Inside lay a thick leather-bound book. Its cover was black and cracked with age, strange symbols carved deep into the surface. They glistened faintly as though alive. "Not for sale," a voice rasped behind him. Startled, Armaan spun around. An old man with hollow eyes and a crooked back stood there, staring at him. His lips trembled as he whispered again, "Not for sale, leave it where it belongs." But the book seemed to call out to him. His fingers tingled with the urge to touch it, to possess it. Almost as if his hands were guided by an unseen force, he grabbed the book and placed a few crumpled notes on the counter. The old man didn't stop him. Instead, he muttered words in a language Armaan didn't understand. That night, Armaan sat alone in his dimly lit room. The storm outside had followed him home, rain lashing at his window. He placed the book on his desk. For a long time, he hesitated, but finally curiosity won. The first page was blank. Then, before his very eyes, words appeared as though written in fresh blood. "To read me is to curse your soul." A chill crawled down his spine. He laughed nervously, convincing himself it was some kind of theatrical trick. But as he turned the page, the candle beside him flickered violently, nearly going out. And then he heard it. A whisper. Soft, sharp, crawling directly into his ears, though no one else was in the room. The next morning, Armaan woke with deep scratches across his arms. He could not remember how they appeared. He blamed it on restless sleep, but unease clung to him like a shadow. When his gaze fell on the desk, his breath caught. The book, which he had closed, now lay open at second page. Faint glowing letters shimmered across it, "Every reader must pay." Armaan's chest tightened. He slammed the book shut, but the sound echoed unnaturally, reverberating like a scream within the walls. That night, he heard footsteps outside his bedroom door. Slow, deliberate. But he lived alone. His heart pounded as shadows slipped beneath the gap under his door. Then came the whisper again, "Read on or suffer worse." Shaking, he lit a candle and opened the cursed book. The words bled across the page, stories of deaths horrible, detailed, gruesome. At first, they were names he didn't recognize. But then he began to see familiar ones. Friends. Neighbors. His own uncle. Each page revealed the death of someone he knew before it happened. And then came the most terrifying part. The final page had his own name. Armaan tried everything to rid himself of the book. He tore its pages. The next morning, they were whole again. He burned it in the fireplace. The ashes reformed back on his desk. He threw it into the river. That night it lay beside his bed, wet and cold, dripping dirty water onto the floorboards. The curse was unbreakable. Every night, the book demanded to be read. And every time he resisted, the whispers grew louder, turning into screams that filled his house. Furniture shook, mirrors cracked, lights flickered violently. Once, he awoke to find a figure standing over him, its face completely hidden by darkness, holding the cursed book open in its hands. The next morning, a neighbor was found dead, exactly as written in the book. Desperation drove Armaan to seek help. He visited religious scholars, priests, and occultists. Some refused to even touch the book. One old cleric, trembling as he glanced at it, whispered, "This is not a book. It is a prison. Each page is a soul, trapped forever." But when Armaan begged him to destroy it, the man shook his head. "It cannot be destroyed by human hands. The only way to end the curse is to finish the story." Armaan didn't understand. Finish the story? He had already read most of it. And then realization struck like lightning. The story wasn't finished yet because the last chapter was his own. Over the next few nights, Armaan avoided opening the book, terrified of what awaited him. But the curse punished him. He lost sleep. His food turned rotten. Whispers echoed even in daylight. His reflection in the mirror sometimes grinned back at him when he wasn't smiling. On the 7th night, his breaking point came. He found the book already open, lying on his chest as he woke from a nightmare. The page before him showed a drawing, a man hanging by a noose. The face was his. "No," he whispered, trembling. "This is not real." But the more he stared, the more the drawing seemed to move. The rope swayed, the figure twitched, and his own eyes looked back at him. He slammed the book shut and screamed. Days turned into weeks. Everyone close to Armaan suffered strange accidents. His best friend was crushed under a falling signboard. His cousin drowned in shallow water, though he was a strong swimmer. Each death had been foretold in the cursed pages. And Armaan knew his turn was coming. Desperate, he returned to the bookstore. But the shop was gone. The alley was empty. No sign of Ashraf's books and curiosities. No crooked sign, no lantern, nothing. It was as if it had never existed. Armaan fell to his knees, clutching the cursed book. He wept, begging for release. But the whispers only laughed. One night, exhausted and broken, Armaan decided to finish it. If his death was written, so be it. He opened the book to the last page, but instead of words, he saw a blank sheet. Slowly, letters formed, dripping like blood across the paper. The reader becomes the written. His hands froze. His breath caught. Then, in horror, he watched as his own reflection in the window began to fade like ink soaking into paper. He tried to scream, but no sound came. His body stiffened, his skin turned pale, and then he was gone. The book closed itself with a loud thud. The next morning, the cursed book appeared back in the bookstore. A new name was carved on its cover, Armaan, and it waited for its next reader.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced something strange or scary in your own life? I'd love to hear your story.